love people. Well, I love persons, individually. Collectively, people bring out my inner misanthrope. This is especially true of people in crowds and of people in moderately stressful situations like, say, snowstorms. You put those two together, and I just want to be a hermit. Back in 1987, I was a law student at Georgetown, so I was going to school on the Hill, and I was living in Alexandria at the time, King Street off of 395. Now, I was still less than 2 years out of my native New York City, so I did not have a driver's license. And on those days that I couldn't get a ride to or from school, I was using public transit. 2 trains and a bus. Not really fun, but a manageable 40-minute trip. I was a long-time commuter. I could do that. So one day, at the end of January, I headed off into school. And while I was at school, 14 inches of snow fell in the District of Columbia in one day. And pretty much nothing had closed. So everything shut down, the city paralyzed after everybody was already inside the district. And so you had a gazillion people all trying to get out at the same time. All the people who'd come in on public transit, and a whole bunch of people who had driven into the city, but because this is DC, they abandoned their cars. So I trudge my way to the station, and by the time I get in the station, I am cold and I am wet. And my inner misanthrope is going, this is gonna suck. My inner misanthrope was pretty much right though, because she immediately saw the utter cluelessness that was on display. Trying to get down to the platform, there was the woman on the escalator who stepped off the escalator and looked around as if the escalator wasn't continuing to spit people off of it. All right, so I get past her and I get onto the platform. The platform is even worse. The platform is packed. And my inner misanthrope is going, oh, they're not going to know what to do. And that was right. Train comes, the doors open, and what do these people do? Do they let anyone out? No! They push in, so now you have a rugby scrum at the door. Eventually, the scrum sorts itself out. Only the people who push on, they push on and they stand right in the door. They could take 2 steps in, but they don't. And me and my inner misanthrope are stuck outside the car. I don't know how long I waited, how many trains went by, but eventually I got on a train and we took off. And then we got to my transfer station. And now I'm not so much cold anymore, although I'm still wet because now I'm sticky and sweaty and hot because it's winter and I'm in a coat and a hat and a scarf and gloves and it's full of people. I would like to say that the experience of getting on the train at this transfer stop, that the collective IQ of the crowd had gone up, that their situational awareness was better, but that's just not true. My inner misanthrope was not happy. But somehow, we made it on to the Yellow Line train. And just as we are pulling out of the station, the train operator says, the bridge over to Virginia is iced over and closed. This train will be stopping at the edge of DC, at L'Enfant Plaza. This is back when WMATA thought that de-icing equipment was somehow optional. So now I'm going to have to take a 3rd train. And my inner misanthrope, she is pissed. So I would also like to say the 3rd time was the charm, but that would be a huge lie. So now I'm hot, and I'm tired, and I'm cranky, and I'm waiting for the train, and finally, I manage somehow to get on a Blue Line train. And my inner misanthrope, she is yelling at me, telling her, "Go to your happy place. It's okay." And she was almost at the happy place. And then the tall dude who was still wearing his backpack turned around and smacked me in the head. I don't know why tall people don't know where their elbows or their backpacks are. If you're tall, please pay attention to those things. So I'm like really cranky now, and we're finally pulling in towards the Pentagon Station. And because I didn't normally take this line, I'm already looking for my escape route out of this car. And I said, in a surprisingly calm and gentle voice, "Hey, does anybody know which side of the car the doors open on?" And a voice from somewhere says, "Well, they open on the left, but good luck getting off the train." Wrong answer. My inner misanthrope was done. She was done with these crowds. She was done with these backpacks. She was done with these people who don't know how to ride a freaking train. And my inner misanthrope, what she said, no longer in my head, but actually out loud, was, "Look, I didn't ride the New York City subways for 6 years to be outdone by this panty-wipe little system. I'm getting off the train." We pull into Pentagon. The doors open. The Red Sea parts. And I am the first person to exit the train. Now, I would have liked to have enjoyed that little moment of triumph, but my inner misanthrope was really way too irritated to let me do this. My inner misanthrope is reminding me that, okay, I'm no longer hot because I'm standing outside waiting for the bus, but now I'm cold and clammy and uncomfortable, and I have a headache, and now I'm hungry, and I have to get on a bus full of people going to my apartment through what I used to refer to as Condo Canyon. So we get ready, me and my little inner misanthrope, we get ready for battle. We get on the bus. There's a small crowd on the bus. Before we take off, the bus driver gets up, walks over into the passenger section and says, "Okay, I know we all want to get home, but this bus ain't getting up those hills." At this point, my inner misanthrope, she's gone from anger to despair and has curled up in a little fetal position in the corner of my head. And then I realized that the bus driver's still talking. He says, "Look, okay, here's the deal. If everybody gives me a major intersection, someplace that's likely to have been plowed, that you can reasonably walk home from, I will try to construct us a route." My inner misanthrope picks her head up and says, "Oh yeah, that's gonna work," and starts figuring out which person is gonna be the troublemaker who throws the hissy fit. But miraculously, that doesn't happen. Everybody just thinks about it and gives it an intersection. Even the real little old lady who had to be like 75 years old, and the bus driver says, "Are you sure you can walk home from there?" And she's like, "Yeah, I got it, it'll be fine." So he thinks about it, and he says, "Okay, here's what we're gonna do," and he lays out a very Metro not approved route. He says, "I can't promise anything, but I think this is gonna work. Is everybody with me?" Everybody said yes. So, slowly, we take off. We're not moving very fast, but we're moving the entire time. And we actually get home. I was a little battered, a little worse for the wear, but I left that bus with just a tiny little bit of my faith in humanity restored. I still don't like crowds. I still don't like snow. But my inner misanthrope, she's a little smaller. Thank you.